Welcome to the Freethinker Friday Night News. I'm here with the co-producer and narrator of the film A Noble Lie and the co-producer of the upcoming film State of Mind, The Psychology of Control, Mr. Chris Emery. How are you doing, Chris?
Good. Good to be back on, Derek. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thank you for taking some time to talk to us tonight and to bring our audience some more information on this very important issue. First thing I want to get into before we catch everybody up to speed with what you're currently working on, let's get into what you've done in the past. We're about a week out now from the anniversary of the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, which is the focus of Free Mind Films' A Noble Lie. Could you catch everybody up to speed now on what is the meat of the film and what you are doing with the film now?
Yes, actually it's a feature-length documentary, runs right at 2 hours running time. And it basically presents the official narrative of the Oklahoma City bombing, as most people know from the Justice Department, the FBI, and mainstream media. And as a film crew, we present that for about the first 10, 12 minutes, and then we slowly deconstruct the official narrative and present information that is actually counter to it, based, again, ironically, on the Justice Department's own documents. We interview victims' family members, survivors, law enforcement, former state Representative Charles Key, wide variety of witnesses, and we present a lot of documentation that we're able to come across over the last cumulatively 18 years, and hopefully give the viewer, empower them with the information to make a decision for themselves that they haven't been told the entire story of what actually happened here.
And in your research, you guys uncovered more than enough information to put in a 2-hour film, correct?
That is correct. We actually had enough to make a 6.5-hour film. Of course, pragmatically, that's not marketable. So we basically took the best of the best that we had and then tried to work it into a narrative that was easy to understand. We approached it on a scholarly, objective, and very professional manner. We didn't want it to be, as they say, a conspiracy theory movie. There are plenty of those out on the internet, but we based it on fact and actually complemented the intelligence of the viewer versus insulting the intelligence.
That's great. And so the film, as you said, it focuses on breaking down the official story of the Oklahoma City bombing, and many of the viewers of this film, I believe, I know for me personally, start to notice certain patterns, certain correlations with other events known as false flag events that have taken place in the United States.
That is correct, Eric, and I had the opportunity to investigate a case, oddly enough, that occurred about a year and 3 months after the Oklahoma City bombing happened, and I think you and I elaborated on this in a different interview we had. But my exposure to the U.S. Navy accidental shoot-down of Flight TWA 800 in July of 1996 gave me the curiosity to begin to understand how the FBI, the NTSB, the CIA, and the Department of Defense and the Justice Department worked in concert to steer the information on a horrific case such as that into the direction that they wanted. They wanted to basically scope their own narrative. So basically stepping back in time to the Oklahoma City bombing, I already knew the behavior that they were going to, oddly enough, back to the future, so to speak, going back in time, and they did the same thing. So it was no big surprise. It was more of a disappointment to me as a researcher and eventually as a co-producer. And it really helped me step back, not so much to be angry, but just to be more objective and really open my minds and my eyes and heart to what was really going on here. Once you understand the key players in this, whether it be whoever committed or planned, committed, or cover up the crime, then you understand the methodology and their point of view. Then it's much easier to actually approach the case and be more objective about it.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, when you start to pay attention and notice these patterns and look for those correlations, you go back and you see them taking place before. I know that I've kind of gone backward. For me, the big issue was 9/11 and investigating that, and then going back even further and seeing the correlations between that and Oklahoma City bombing. And now we're up here to 2013 with the Boston Marathon bombings, and you know, there's been a number of patterns that we see going back to Oklahoma City bombing, such as drills and such as the FBI involvement. So it is interesting to note that the more you investigate these things and make yourself aware of them, it also helps you have a full understanding of what's taking place in our world today.
You are spot on with that, Derek. Great summary. Yes.
And so I want to give you a couple of minutes before we discuss your new project. You know, so we're at the anniversary coming again this year of the horrible crimes that took place there in Oklahoma City at the Alfred P. Murrah building. and we still do not have any kind of official investigation, so to speak, as far as the mainstream and the main public are concerned. But what are the strongest points of evidence that we have up to date?
The strongest points of evidence, of course, are what was allegedly used to blow up the Murrah building. And we were able to completely debunk the fact that ammonium nitrate and fuel oil were used. It was just a very small part in what they call a false flag explosion. We were able to find that there was actually, there were several, if not at least a dozen and a half to close to 2 dozen devices within the building. Most of them were unexploded. And the reason being is there was a set that was due to go off at 9:02, which they did, and then another set that was due to go off exactly 10 minutes later when the walking wounded, search and rescue, law enforcement were still lingering or walking into the building. The rest of the building was supposed to come down on them. Luckily, that didn't happen. And then a telltale sign of ANFO, of course, is not only the blast wave attenuation. 14 employees in the Murrah building had the wherewithal to realize that it felt like an earthquake, as they had put it. That doesn't happen when you have a blast wave traveling at over 1,500 feet per second. As quoted by the ATF and FEMA, they wouldn't have had the prior notice of that blast coming at that rate of speed. So what happened was, in a nutshell, the building was coming down from east to west at 5 to 8 seconds before the truck bomb even blew up. The second thing, of course, is the lack of a nitric gas cloud. Anybody coming into the building, including Terry Yakey, the first police officer to report to the scene, as we feature in the movie, he would have been buckling over and violently vomiting. That didn't happen. He was able to breathe and actually rescuing people. And then, of course, the selective prosecution. We found that there were actually 12 people and as many as 18 involved in the case. The Justice Department was very regimented and very determined to only bring 2 people to justice. A third person was used actually to perjure and make up a wide variety of stories, if not outright lies, about what McVeigh and Nichols did and their extent in the crime. His name was Michael Fortier. He turned state's evidences out on witness protection programs. So those are the only 3 key players that were involved, according to the Justice Department. We know differently.
Definitely. And so we've got discrepancies with the type of bomb supposedly used, with the blast radius, with issues of that nature. What else have we found out? I know that when the film came out, it's been critically acclaimed. You've been up for awards, nominations for different festivals. How has the response been from the people? Have people attacked you guys for the film, or has there been more of a want to help, to provide new information?
We really haven't had any attack from the media because they knew that we stood on solid ground. As far as the response, it's been absolutely wonderful. We've been very blessed as a film crew, way beyond what we've ever expected. The film has sold very well in 23 foreign countries and extremely well here in the U.S. We've been officially selected into 10 film festivals throughout the United States. We were awarded Best Picture Feature Documentary in 4 of the 10 and finalist in 2. So we were able to actually get an official accolade in 6 of those 10 that we were invited to. And we're going to petition Netflix to carry the film. So it really was just incredibly blessed, and we didn't take any of that for granted. And we want to thank all of our supporters and the viewers out there.
Yeah, definitely. And so what's the next project for A Noble Eye? You know, the other day we spoke a little bit about, now you have not only the remainder of a film that you cut from the original, but new information, new sources. Is there plans to expand upon the film, to release a sequel?
Yes, in fact, we were, as a crew, we were talking about that just last week. We wanted to do a director's cut for this year, for the 18th anniversary, but with the response and all of the work we had for the promotion of the original cut, that just simply wasn't possible. And then, of course, the issue of funding and so forth. It does cost money to make a director's cut. Long story short, we're going to go ahead and shoot for the 20-year anniversary, which would be in 2015. It may come out before then, but that would probably be at the very latest of the release. What that's going to involve is we're going to have a double-layer DVD. We're going to expand upon, of course, we have the original cut, and then include interviews that we simply didn't have the time to put in the original cut. There's a retired lawyer out of Dallas. We're going to expand on the Hoppy Heidelberg case, Terry Yakey, and of course Craig Robertson and his extensive work. Craig, he's a retired police officer from Tulsa, was actually handpicked by the FBI field office in Tulsa to help investigate this case. So evidently the FBI thought he was qualified enough in the beginning, and to step up and help them. So we were very honored to have him in the movie. And then he told us how the tide just turned and how he had to recuse himself for their investigation because he said it was thoroughly corrupt. So we're going to be able to expand upon those and probably have a total runtime of, we're looking probably about 3 to 3.5 hours. And then we're going to include photos and never seen before photos that were provided to us by members of the retired military personnel off the airbase.
That sounds great, Chris. So we expect a 20-year anniversary edition of A Noble Lie. You guys look out for that, because if you haven't seen this film, you need to go get yourself a copy. Where can everybody look into more information about the film, Chris?
The website is www.anoblelie.com, Facebook page, A Noble Lie, Oklahoma City, 1995, and then, of course, Free Mind Films Facebook page.
Great, great. So let's move on to some of the next projects you guys have going on. You guys continue to bring important topics to the forefront and to get the discussion going. And this next one deals with a very important topic that I believe is much needed right now. It is called State of Mind, the Psychology of Control. Go ahead and tell us about that, Chris.
Yes, we are anticipating to release that by June 1st. We're actually in post-production right now. Very excited. And this was a brainchild of James Lane, the director of the first movie, and Austin Green. What we wanted to do after releasing A Noble Lie, great information in that and so forth, but we wanted to step back and say, okay, why have people believed the official narrative, such as the Oklahoma City bombing or 9/11, and then, of course, will evolve into the official narrative of the Boston Marathon bombing? Why are they believing only one set of facts on this? We step back and basically go from cradle to grave, and why are we controlled, and how, and to what extent are we controlled? Those are the main questions that we're going to address. Not only we're going to present who and what is happening, but how. And then through that, the third phase of how, then we're going to offer solutions on how to take control of the different mind control, whether it be through marketing, through, we're going to touch upon some of the religion, through medication, through education, through advertising, just a wide variety, but do it in a concise manner. Give people a new set of tools to think with.
Yeah, this sounds great, Chris. So we talked about this a little bit previously, and this is going to cover everything from, as you said, why are certain people prone to believing the mainstream media more, believing the government now. We have, you mentioned the Boston bombing, we have a statement from President Obama just coming in the past couple of days saying, you should wait to make up, you should wait to decide what you think about Boston until we tell you the official story, and things like that. So we see the power of words, we see the power of marketing and of propaganda, and it's important for people to understand where it comes from and how it affects us today.
Very much so. And like I said, we're going to complement the intelligence of the viewer with our second movies we did with the first, versus insulting the intelligence. Having worked as a contract employee for a major news network for 4 years, I saw how the program managers and the station managers and the program directors and you know the folks that wrote the script, how they worked and how they wanted to massage the message, what direction they wanted to move it into. And after 4 years, they says, you know what, I had enough. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. So fortunately, I had the opportunity to get into film and radio and television and film industry, and it's been an absolute blessing to be able to make a movie such as A Noble Lie, and then of course State of Mind. What you're going to see on this movie is going to be very surprising. It may upset some people, but I think the people that we're going to upset are the folks that we're actually exposing through the information. And again, it's done in a very scholarly and very professional and very methodical way, and we're excited to get it out.
Definitely. So does the film touch on any so-called mind control experiments such as MK Ultra or any government programs such as that?
Yes, it does. And we will expand on that in the movie, bringing information that we didn't even know existed. And that's revealed by one of the gentlemen, the experts that we interviewed, John Rappaport. There's the functional side and the methodological side of MK Ultra. We're able to get our hands on the financial side just to see how extensive that program was. It was astonishing. And that all came through FOIA requests through Mr. Rappaport and one of his colleagues, and he was more than happy to give a lot of that information to us. So we're going to really give a well-rounded view of MK Ultra, not only the sinister side of it, but the business side and the perfunctory day-to-day side of how that program was actually carried out.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I think that when you do some research on that, and as you said, you check the financial records and really check how big these programs are, it's quite extensive, and it can can be pretty overwhelming. Does the film touch on or bring the viewer up to, say, to the modern day now? Any possible programs that may still be functioning within our government, for example?
Yes, they do. And to be honest with you, Derrick, I have to kind of play close to the vest on that. I know James and Austin are going to elaborate on that in subsequent interviews. But I've been brought onto this film, and to be honest with you, and candid, is more on the marketing and basically getting it out there and to the different film festivals and so forth. I'm not as well versed on some of the details. Some I am, some I'm not. But I know that James and Austin will be able to expand on those in the future.
Definitely, we appreciate that, Chris. So if there's any other message that you would like to leave our viewers with today on A Noble Lie, on the importance of these films and getting the word out, or anything else you would like to say, please go ahead.
Well, I really have to, even from the film festival standpoint, and to see how the DVD had sold, we had an incredible network of supporters, such as yourself, the independent media. But there are a lot of very smart people out there. The general population is extremely intelligent. Don't let the mainstream media dumb you down. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Because they were able to go and decipher the information. Folks that, the uninitiated, the first time that they ever even heard of this information. And we were getting so much feedback from emails, from Facebook, from third party, getting stopped on the street here in Oklahoma City. The compliments were coming in. And what that told us was that we were striking a good chord with the viewers. These people were happy that we were able to get this out, and they felt empowered. They felt confident that they were able to see through other cases. And then we'd get emails like on 9/11, and at least you saw that we were planting the seed, and that was probably one of the biggest blessings we could ever get.
Yeah, you got to plant those seeds, and as you said, Chris, we need independent media, we need independent films, independent documentaries out there to dispel and to offer another alternative view from the mainstream history, the mainstream line that we're fed. One more time, let everybody know where they can find State of Mind, Psychology of Control, and A Noble Lie.
Okay, State of Mind will be released. We're doing pre-release at the middle of May and full release June 1. stateofmindmovie.com, and then of course anoblelie.com.
Thank you very much. That was Chris Emery, co-producer and narrator of A Noble Lie and co-producer of the upcoming film State of Mind, Psychology of Control. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.